Good evening. My name is Sue Ferguson, and I am the volunteer chairman of the board for Faith Family Hospitality. And we'd like to also extend our thanks to Vanessa and Homeward 2020 and to all of you here at Plymouth for inviting us to be here tonight, because I'm always excited to talk about Faith Family Hospitality. We are an interfaith collaboration of congregations here in Fort Collins. There are 12 congregations who open their buildings, and we are able to provide housing for 4 families, all with children, for 365 nights a year. So we came together through an initiative of Angel House in Loveland that brought us together, but couldn't quite take us to the next place in terms of actually implementing our project. And when we got together as a group of 16 original congregations, we said to ourselves, well, is there really a need for this kind of housing? To homeless families, when prevention doesn't work, what happens to homeless families? And so we spoke with the folks at the Murphy Center, we spoke with the folks at Catholic Charities, and what we learned was that in Fort Collins, there were 4 rooms for families in any given night. Those 4 rooms were at Catholic Charities. The rescue mission doesn't take anyone under the age of 18, so nobody with children would be able to be there. So when we learned that there were only 4 rooms in the inn here at Fort Collins, we knew that the additional 4 rooms that we could provide through our project were going to be critical. So we began our project as a collaboration with the Murphy Center that agreed to offer the day kind of services. We didn't have any money when we began, 0 money, but we had 16 congregations that were very, very committed to doing this process. We've grown now to 21 congregations, so we have 12 host sites. Host sites actually open up their buildings. They provide up to 4 rooms. Families come at about 5 o'clock each evening. They're served a hot, nutritious dinner. They have place for their children to do their homework. They have their own room that they're able to leave their items and their family, their clothing and things like that. They're able to lock it during the day so that they have some security. They're there for the evening. We serve breakfast in the morning, and then the families leave at about 7 each day. So it's a actually very simple kind of model, but it really has a big impact. When Richy talks about hope, I think that's the thing that our families tell us, is that having the security of a place to call home for at least for a while gives them the base on which they can build moving out of homelessness. One of the things when we first started this project, we asked each other, and someone finally asked one of our guests and said, well, isn't it really, really difficult to have to spend a week at one church and then move to another church and then move to another church after that? And that guest's name was Megan, and she had a teenager and a young boy. And Megan wrote us a 5-page letter explaining to us why what we offered at the churches made such a difference to her. Shelters do their very best to provide security and peace and quiet, but for families, that doesn't always work. And Megan shared with us how difficult it was for her family to have her 2 boys be in an environment where they were dealing with the sort of hardcore homeless people on a regular basis. She appreciated the quiet that Faith Family Hospitality offered. She appreciated the security. And I think most of all what our guests tell us is they appreciate the friendship and the support of the volunteers. Because once again, Faith Family is a very cost-effective kind of program. I wish I could tell you how many volunteers we have. We're really not quite sure. We figure it's probably between 500 and 600 volunteers. 12,000 people last year actually filled volunteer positions because we're hosting every week, and it takes about 40 volunteers at each congregation by the time you have people who set up the beds, prepare the meals, are there to be hosts in the evening, spend the night, and then move things along and take down the operation. So there's an incredible number of people who are involved in doing this. I was talking with someone today, actually, Tom Christian, and we were saying what an incredible education we all get in our congregations. We're constantly thanked by our guests for providing hospitality, for being there for them. But I think most of us who've worked in the program and who've worked as volunteers, and I know the volunteers in my congregation, we often feel that we get so much more. We have the opportunity each time we're host, which for most, when we started out, we were hosting about 6 times a year. We sort of moved down to 5 times a year, where our goal is 4 times a year, but we host fairly often. But it's a reminder, each time we host, it's a reminder of the people in our community who haven't been able to put life together for whatever reason. I know when I was first presented with this option, it was right before Christmas that I got an opportunity to go down and visit a church in Loveland that was doing this program. And they invited me to come down so that I could see how they set up the beds and got the dinner ready. And it was really a very nice setting, and it was right before Christmas, and they had a Christmas tree, and I really enjoyed it. But what really struck me was when the families came, when they arrived that evening, there were 2 tiny babies. So there were 2 high chairs set up for that particular hosting. And I remember, because it was right before Christmas, that somehow being able to deal with homelessness, I guess when you think about adults, it's one thing, but we're always dealing with children who are going to school, children who are babies. And that was, it only took that evening for me to know that our congregation was going to be involved, that I would figure out a way for us to support this really vital project. And so we've continued. We're in our 2nd full year. We have a wonderful family advocate program director, Sue Peterson, who works with us. We've been lucky enough to have an AmeriCorps member work with us this year. But it's mainly a volunteer effort, and it's mainly a response. It's saying that we have buildings, we have warm rooms, the lights are on. Again, I'm going to refer to Rich Thompson because he was one of the first to step forward and say he would support this project. But Rich always says that by opening our buildings, we sanctify them. We take them to their highest use, and we really extend ourselves to families that need us so desperately. So we're always looking for more congregations. We need support congregations who will work to help the host congregation with dinner, with volunteers. We offer a day center in collaboration with the Fort Collins Mennonite Fellowship downtown. Our day center is open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so we're always looking for volunteer help. So come and talk with us a little bit more if you feel like this is something that you might be called to, as I certainly felt that I was called to. And now I'm going to introduce Olga, who's going to talk a little bit about One Congregation, One Family.